The thing here is, it is just impossible for two to have the same exact life, and it is impossible and it is unhealthy for us to compare ourselves to others or to compare ourselves to the older version of us. Even when you compare yourself to the older version of you, yes, you are still robbing yourself from joy, from having the joy that God promised you. You're still robbing yourself from having the peace, because he never intended you to remain the version of yourself that you was before you had that child or after you had baby number 3. He meant and he intended that you elevate. Hey y'all, welcome to episode 4 of Doing What Just Makes Sense with Mama Vape, myself, and just some of the things that have helped me and that is still helping me in this journey of motherhood and just being in general. Becoming a better version of yourself intentionally, it comes with a lot. And so some of the things that I've noticed is that a lot of the time depression and oppression tries to keep us stuck when we're on that journey to become the better version of ourselves. And that even includes how we show up in motherhood. So today's episode, we're going to talk about why comparing is not good. I try my absolute hardest to not compare. There is several reasons that comparing this is not good. It can rob you of your joy. It can rob you of your peace. It can rob you of every good thing when you're so focused on what's over there or to your left or to your right, or what you used to be and what it used to be. The key to that is always to live in your present, to be like Paul and to be content. Y'all, I'm trying to get through this video as quick as possible because my children are coming in and it's kind of throwing me off track. But let's talk about why we shouldn't compare. Because what that does is it robs you of your joy. It robs you of your peace. It robs you of just living out a life of fulfillment. And how do I know? Because I've been there. There was a season in my life where earlier on, when I was trying to manage the business, taking care of business and being a hairstylist, and then also raising the children, I kept myself, for one, I found that I struggled with comparing myself to the older version of me when I had a lot less, when I didn't have children. I compared myself when it came to how I showed up in my business as a hairstylist. I compared that capacity that I had before I had the children, where it was just me. I tried to bring that into who I was after having my first child, which was just not the same. The version of who I was before I had the child, I was not that version after I had a child. And so what I found happening a lot of the time was that me comparing myself to the older version of me and measuring my abilities by and measuring that with something that was unrealistic was robbing me of my joy. It was robbing me of the peace that God promised me. And it took about a few years for me to realize, like, wait a minute, you are comparing yourself and it is robbing you of your joy. It is robbing you of your peace. That is where the oppression is coming from. That is why you're battling with depression. And so today I want to talk to y'all about what this looks like, some of the benefits of not comparing, and then even if you struggle with this, that you may find some type of help in this video to possibly help you moving forward. All right, so let's start from the very beginning. Now, I want to throw this out there because y'all already know everything that I speak on is going to be faith-based. Whenever you find yourself dealing with comparison, you can almost bet that somewhere you're probably dealing with pride, or you're probably dealing with jealousy, or you might even be dealing with envying, depending on the situation. Like for instance, if you see someone else, you might see another mom that might be doing in the same field that you're in, and you see that mom soaring. You might have a realtor, see a realtor mom that you really admire. Let's just give for example, and she's a realtor, you're a realtor. She have maybe 3 children, you have 3 children, or she may have no children and you have 3 children, and you're looking at her, you're like, man, she's killing it in the real estate field, and I feel like I need to be doing what she's doing. And so you begin to compare your level of success, and now you're feeling inadequate because now you're looking over there and you're like, dang, I must not be doing something right, or I must not be who I deem myself to be, or I need to work on being a better me, or whatever the case. Or you might even begin to look at it and be like, I should have what she have. And so we all know that is envy at its best. Like, anytime we can look at somebody else's life and you feel obligated to having what they have, that is one of the deadliest sins that God speaks of, which is envy. Nothing that anybody else have, no matter if you have, it doesn't matter. That doesn't belong to you. What God has for you belongs to you. But that what they have simply belongs to them. That is not yours. And so if you find that being the motive as to why you wake up every day and why you have this goal, listen, you're like, well, such and such happened and she closed out on this many houses, so I'm gonna do the same thing. Because, and even if, like I mentioned earlier, she has 3 children, like, and I don't have no excuse because she got 3 children, no. It is so important that we don't begin to compare ourselves by looking to our left and our right, when God has given us a unique life. He has given us a unique life to live, where not one set of people are the exact same. All of our lives are completely unique for a reason and for a purpose. And there is something that is so unique about you that when you do stay in your own lane, you're able to cultivate others and help build the kingdom of God through your natural gifts. So I wanted to start out just by sharing, like, that is just a way, just kind of like how one of the ways that comparison shows up, and it is through envy. And we didn't even discuss how even comparing can be one of the, like I mentioned, the underlying spirits that are connected to it, which is the spirit of envy, and then just having the spirit of unworthiness, and all those things that are connected to. Or either maybe you're just so prideful, as if like, oh, she got it, so I know for a fact I should have it because I'm that girl. And there is no humble bone in your body, and God is wanting you to know, like, what that does is, in your mind, you might just think of it as, oh, I should have that. But what it does is, in the spirit, it draws you away from God, because sin will disconnect us from God. And so the ultimate goal is already being met according to the enemy, which is to kill, steal, and destroy. If it could destroy your relationship with God, then it automatically have access to you. And that means that your peace is going to be destroyed. Your joy is going to be destroyed. And that way the enemy has access to you. And now you find yourself struggling with depression and all of these other things. So I wanted to share that because y'all already know a lot of what I speak on is faith-based. So yes, I'm going to give y'all some practical tips, but I'm also wanting to share with y'all just how that affects you in the spiritual realm when you are looking to your left and your right, and you looking at your homegirl that don't even know that don't even know you're competing with her, and you're like, well, she did it, I know I can do X, Y, Z. Or it could be the other way around, where you have a friend that you think is a friend, but every time you meet a new milestone, that either they're not supporting you, or either they're finding themselves being obligated to having what it is that you have. So it can go both ways, but what the purpose of this video is to acknowledge what it looks like. And so from that, maybe if this is something that you struggle with, because we all have been there before, I'm sure. We all have our insecurities. We all have those pain points in areas that God does want to reveal to us, to give language to, and so that we can move forward and walk in freedom. So so I wanted to talk about that. So have you ever found yourself like being so overly frustrated? Like, what's going on? Like, maybe this is after you've had a baby and you find yourself just frustrated because you cannot find a new normal. You cannot find a balance. Well, a lot of times that too is because we are comparing ourselves to an old version of us and who we was before baby number 2, before baby number 3, before baby number 1. When you didn't have any children to where you are now. And the truth of the matter is, your capacity level is so different now than what it was before. One child can make a world of a difference. So it don't matter if you transitioning from being a mom of one to being a mom of none to being a mom of 3 to 4. The capacity in which you have can make things a lot different, right? And so even if another mom, maybe she just have one child, but then you have 3 children, the one that has one child, depending on the need of that child, there could be a certain level of her level of capacity can be a lot. You know, it may not. It's just impossible. The thing here is, it is just impossible for 2 to have the same exact life, and it is impossible and it is unhealthy for us to compare ourselves to others or to compare ourselves to the older version of us. Even when you compare yourself to the older version of you, yes, you are still robbing yourself from having the joy that God promised you. You're still robbing yourself from having the peace, because He never intended you to remain the version of yourself that you was before you had that child or after you had baby number 3. He meant and He intended that you elevate background, and they are loud. But hey, this is reality. This is real life. This is me just being committed to doing what it is that I have to do. But at the same time, this is what it is. I'm not going to keep the background from a mom or anybody being able to receive whatever it is that, you know, maybe something here can help somebody. It could be just one person that say, you know what, that is what the issue was. Thank you so much for sharing that. This is what I'm going to do. Speaking of it, let me go ahead and share some of the things that you can do if you found yourself in any of what I spoke of today. One of the things that I really want you to get more intentional about is spending time with God and asking God those questions like, God, what would you have for me to do in this season? God, how do you see me? Like, I want you to really get intentional about spending time with the Father and seeing what it is He created you for, who He created you to be, what success looks like for you. And then also allowing Him to go into your heart to make those changes. Because maybe you might find your identity maybe in how well you do, you run your business. And if that is the thing that is blocking you from really experiencing that fulfillment, then that is going to be an issue. So I want you to really be intentional about spending time with God and journaling and talking to Him and asking Him, God, what are your desires for my life? God, what does success look like for me? Can you help me before I even write my goals down? God, what are your goals for my life? What should my objective be according to your will for my life? God, please align my desires with your heart. Store into my heart those plans that you have for me, those desires that you have for me, so that my desires can be in alignment with your perfect will for my life. And what this does is, I'm telling you, this is a game changer, because what this does is, just as Paul was in the Bible when he was content, he knew that just being in alignment with God, that would be enough for him. That is what you're going to realize. You're going to realize that even if your finances change, even if your career change, even if there is according to society, there is even if you appear to not have, that you will still find a level of peace. Because you're in the will of God, you will still experience a level of peace that no amount of money could give you. Success is so much bigger than the house that you live in, the car that you drive, the amount of money in your bank account, all of the tangible things, how beautiful your family is, your health. It is so much bigger than that. It is literally to be in the perfect will of God. It is to literally be in the perfect will of God and to find contentment even when things around you don't look the best from the natural, right? You're building your heavenly treasures. You're building all of the things that will make a difference, that your life will become even more fruitful. Your character, you allowing God to build your character. All of the things that you may not even be able to identify, or others may not be able to identify, because it's more than what meets the eye, right? And so I want you to take a moment to realize what it is that success is supposed to look like for you in your life. And when you do, and when you lean into that, and God begin to show you, begin to write it down. I'm telling you, this is the game changer. I went to a conference. I've done this exercise twice, and every now and then I update it, or I do it again, because he's constantly showing us who he sees us as, and there's always areas that he wants us to pivot in. And then when we walk with him, he could have us doing one thing today, but then tomorrow it'll be a complete different thing. So we have to be solely connected to him, so when he say move, we're able to move. So I've done it in 2 events before. And so what it was that my coaches at the time, because there's 2 different coaches, they had me do this activity where I write a letter to the future version of myself. Who do I see myself as years from now? And honestly, this activity was initially hard, but once I began to sit down with God and allow him to remove any of the things in my heart that would affect me from seeing the future version of myself, then it was easier for me to write down and come in agreement and to begin to believe even the words that I was writing on my page, that Ashley, I see you, da 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 da, I see you, da 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 da. It was easier for me to store that in my heart once I had written it down after just partnering with God. So that is the number one thing I want you to do. I want you to sit with God and you begin to ask those questions. Ask him, God, who do you see me as? What does success look like for me? Success to one woman might be her being at home, taking care of her children, and nurturing and cultivating, and having to put on hold some of her own personal desires. Success to another woman may be traveling the world and having a built-in nanny. It's just whatever it is that God has called you to. Whatever his perfect will looks like for your life is where you will find success. And that is simply just being in the will of God. And that is also where you will find freedom. That is where you will find fulfillment. That is where you will find yourself thriving and not just surviving in life. I want to challenge you to to begin to surrender those areas of your life. Surrender yourself as a wife. Surrender your marriage. Surrender your career. Surrender. And that's a whole new episode. We'll talk about it at another time, how surrendering, it really does open the door to having peace and maintaining a certain level of peace in motherhood and all other areas of life. I did want to share how it is important to spend time with God and ask him those questions and listen to what he tells you. Listen to what he's saying to you after you ask those questions. Be in expectation that after you made your request known to him, that he will answer you. Be in expectation to hear a response, to receive a response from your Father. Because when you ask him, he'll give it to you. So when you do that, you write it on your paper. Habakkuk 2:2, write the vision, make it plain. You write down exactly what God gave you. All of even the details, write it down. You will be and it doesn't mean that he won't give you language to some of the tangible things that you will experience as the better version of yourself. But you will be able to write it down and you'll realize, like, wow, God, for me, wow, that's beautiful. Thank you, God. So, and then number 3, I think I kind of touched this already, but accept that change is inevitable. Now, this is more like a mindset shift, but when you're moving intentional, you're always going through a shift, and most of the time it is literally in your mind. So accept that change is inevitable. Get with the Father and see what it is that he wants you to do in this season. Don't compare yourself to what you did in the last season, because what you did in the last season is not what he wants you to do in this season. He might want you to pivot. He might want you to go from doing what was always comfortable for you, like he did with me. I was a stylist for 17 plus years. He changed me. He shifted me and pivoted me from using my hands for almost all my life as a way of living to now using my voice. And I have to accept that this is where we are now. Life is inevitable. This is the instructions that God has given me in this season, and this is what success looks like for me. Again, success is not determined by the money in your bank account. Success is not determined by how well you dress your children and how It's not determined by that. It is simply being in the will of God. What is God telling you to do? Are you being obedient to what it is He is telling you to do? And this right here is what brings fulfillment. It's what brings peace. It's what brings joy. It is what allows your life to be fruitful. The glory of God it allows you to build the kingdom of God. It allows you to live and operate on purpose, which is using your gifts, your voice, all the parts of you to build the kingdom of God. So yeah, listen, do not compare yourself. When God give you a sneak peek on who He see you as and where He see you at years to come, store that in your heart. Write it down, store it in your heart, and you become tunnel vision. Do not be distracted from your left or your right. No matter what society says, no matter what culture says it's supposed to be. You be you. Lock in with God and you stay the course. Do not get outside of your lane. Because all of the things that you need, if you stay in your lane, you will have them. Everything you need, you already have. But if you try to get outside of your lane and get in somebody else's lane, you might end up in a bad. You may very well end up in a bad accident, or you may very well find that that wasn't the best move. So please, 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 do not compare. Try not to compare. Just try not to. If you have struggling with that, ask God to help you. God, I'm having an issue in this area. God, please help me with comparing. I really don't want to compare. I know comparison, it's gonna drive me further and further away from you. Because even with having disappointment from just an unexpected, just from your expectations not being met, right? That's a disappointment. You may end up being disappointed with God because now you had pride. Now you're experiencing pride in the area where God called you to be humble. God resists the pride. You don't want Him to resist you. You want Him to draw you want to draw closer to God. You don't want to be distant from Him. So this is an area that indeed it is not talked about a lot, but we have to be mindful about comparing with ourselves and our lives and all of that with others. Find peace in where you are today. Okay, be content in all seasons of life. That is where God wants us at. So y'all listen to this whole video, give yourself a pat on the back. Thank you so much for tuning in. Y'all hear it, my baby is fine. He's doing his little screams he like to do. That's motherhood. That is motherhood at its best. That is motherhood at its best. I got a built-in alarm. Y'all see it? All things work together for the good. Because y'all see how that works out for my good? Because now it's like, Ashley, you'll get off the camera. So, yes, I'm going to take that cue as I always do. But I'm so glad that y'all was able to tune in. And y'all are still connected with your girl. Like, bring you some chips the next time, girl. Bring you some chips, your favorite Kool-Aid. Bring you some tea, whatever you like. And listen, I will be coming every Monday with these, doing what just makes sense as a mom of 8, raising 7 children. And I just want to share with y'all some of the things that God have downloaded, and just hope that whatever you can pull from this, please do. And always remember, meet me in the comments. There's going to be a mom that watches this that you may even be able to encourage. Hey, listen, we're moms from all walks of life that are just trying to show up as the best version of ourselves to thrive over survive in motherhood and all other areas of life. So if you have any words of encouragement, make sure you're dropping them in the comments below. Even if you see a mom struggling with something, and she might even share it, make sure that you're encouraging her. Because listen, it takes more than just me to speak out. It takes all of us. All of us have what it takes to possibly make a difference. So yeah, thank y'all so much. Listen, I'm gonna go ahead and get out, cook some dinner. But thank y'all for tuning in. Please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Okay? Bye.